I always say that there is no one best way to learn foreign languages, but I do believe that there are higher level principles that are more effective than others. So in today's video, let's explore what are some most effective methods of learning a second language according to the modern research. One of the most effective ways to learn a second language is through immersion. Immersion means surrounding yourself with the language you're learning so you can get exposed to it in different contexts. A study published in 1982 found that being immersed and exposed to the language can help you develop your language skills faster because it provides this rich and authentic environment so you can absorb the language naturally. And the more modern study published in 2018 found out that it doesn't only help you with absorbing the language, but also it helps you to improve your intercultural communication skills and develop global citizenship. Many people assume that immersing yourself is about moving or traveling to the country of the language. While it is super helpful and it is super easy to get immersed in this kind of scenario, but it is not the only way. You can surround yourself with the language you're learning by building a lot of small habits related to the language. So for instance, you can start writing to-dos or shopping lists or Googling in the target language. You can also start absorbing information in the language. So listen to radio or podcasts, to an audiobook, or read books and start taking courses if you are an advanced student. And I actually find it a great way to gain a lot of vocabulary related to your field of work by taking really simple and beginners courses so you can concentrate on the vocabulary and not the content itself. Anyways, if you are a beginner, I would still encourage you to do so, because even if you do not understand anything, just the fact of being exposed to the language can still boost your learning progress according to some modern research. You can also easily convert fun activities into learning. So if you're into video games, you can always change the language in the settings, or you can start watching TV series or movies or read for pleasure in your target language. Next up on the list is the communicative approach, which basically means using the language skills to communicate meaning in real life or kind of real life conversations. It is still one of the most effective ways to improve your listening and speaking. And it is definitely easier done in a group setting where you can actually speak with people, or at least with one person. So if you have an opportunity, look up language exchange events or speaking clubs or meetup groups with a native speaker so you can start speaking with others as soon as you can. Another option is to find a language learning buddy, so someone who's learning the same language as you do, or maybe who's learning your native language, so you can kind of help each other to learn these two languages. Another way is to actually get a tutor. Many teachers today use the communicative approach while preparing for the lessons and when conducting the lessons, and it means that they will try to create exercises for you so you can start speaking right away while utilizing the vocabulary and grammar that you just acquired. There are still some alone activities that you can do to practice the communicative approach. First, you can use your target language to complete a certain task, such as prepare for a trip, maybe book flights, book a hotel. You can also record yourself just like I'm doing right now, and I can assure you this does help you to improve your speaking and possibly pronunciation. Another one can be arguably helpful in certain situations, but practicing writing, and especially if it is something like journaling. If you need to describe what you did, what you thought, or maybe you are gonna do, it can also be helpful to practice this vocabulary that you're possibly gonna be using in real life conversations when speaking about yourself. By now, I've already mentioned a handful of things, small things you can do to improve and boost your learning process. And all of the activities can be divided into two types: active practice and passive practice. Active practice involves engaging with the language through conversations or writing, and passive practice is more about absorbing information. And it has been discovered that students who use the active practice, such as role-playing games, conversations, and that kind of jazz, were more likely to achieve fluency faster and to develop their language skills. Both should be present, and I think they should be combined for better results. Some of your passive activities can actually be converted into active activities. I'll give you an example. Watching a movie is a passive activity. Yes, you get exposed, and it is also important. That's something I mentioned in the first point. Immersion is super helpful, but you can go further. You can take it one step further. You can start writing down the vocabulary that you find, new words you find in the movie or TV series that you're watching. Then you can revise the vocabulary, maybe use application such as Quizlet, with cards. Then you can start making up your own sentences using this vocabulary. Maybe start imitating some conversations in your head, imagining how you're gonna use this new vocabulary in your personal life. And this is how just watching a movie or a TV series can actually become more active practice. While we are on the topic of learning new words, spaced repetition is the key to long-term retention, especially when it comes to learning new vocabulary. Spaced repetition involves reviewing the material that you've studied at increasing intervals of time. Ebbinghaus's forgetting curve suggests that we forget most of the material within the first hour after we learned about it or read about it, which means it can be super useful to revise the new material 10 minutes after you studied it, and then 1 hour later, a day later, 3 days later, and 7 days later. I understand, well, it can be not sustainable for some people to have scheduled recap sessions. What I usually like to do is to recap right away, like 10 minutes later, then 1 day later, and then before I move forward to a new chapter and now learn new vocabulary, first, the rule is that I need to revise the previous vocabulary. Doing at least 2 or 3 recap sessions can already boost your learning process and make sure that you can retain as much vocabulary as you can when you learn it. But also the same can be used for learning grammar or improving your pronunciation. The last but not least is that your learning program should be personalized to your goals and aspirations. And it does 2 things for you. First of all, it will provide you with more relevant grammar and vocabulary for your particular use case. So let's say you want to learn a language for your job or for business needs, but you go to classes and you learn vocabulary like fashion or medicine or maybe ecology. All these topics are important, and if you want to be fluent in a language, you do need to be able to express yourself in different contexts. But it can be more useful to you to first learn the vocabulary more relevant to how you're gonna use the target language. So I am not saying that you should learn some part of vocabulary and just forget about all the other topics. No, my point is about prioritization, and personalization can help you prioritize things that you learn so you can learn first the things that are more important to you. And second of all, personalizing your program can also boost your motivation, because learning a language is quite an investment of time and effort. When your program is personalized to your goals and your interests, it makes it more engaging and interesting for you to learn the language that you're learning. This is everything that I wanted to share. Let us know in the comments below if you agree or disagree with any point that I mentioned, and also share what was the most effective method that you used to learn a foreign language. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.